Namaste and hello everyone. My name is Shivika and I help you navigate life through my experiences, lessons, and stories. In today's video, we'll be talking about the three things that changed my life completely. As humans, we go through so many experiences in life and travel so much and meet so many people, old and new, that it shapes our life in a way that we do not even realize that in the long run, some of these experiences and people will stay with us for longer than we thought they're there for, and some of them will not last that long. The first incident goes back to 2015 when I initially decided to move to the UK for my master's. In my previous videos, I have clearly mentioned that my first ultimate place to go and study was the United States. But that did not happen because they require a 12 plus 4 qualification, and I studied from Delhi University, so I only had 3 years of undergraduation. And I did not want to use one more year to study or do a diploma in order to add that 12 plus 4. So I decided to change paths and then apply to universities within the UK. And that one decision has changed everything in the last decade of my life. In fact, the last decade has been solely influenced by my decision to go and study in the UK. In the last decade, I moved to the UK in the September of 2016 to do my master's in international relations from Warwick University. I then took a whole big risk and switched careers and started my venture after being endorsed by Warwick University for Tier 1 Graduate Entrepreneur Scheme. The early years of my entrepreneurship journey, just after being endorsed by Warwick University, were so exciting and so full of learning. I had never imagined that that was what my life was going to look like soon after I finished my master's. As a young entrepreneur who's just started her journey, I was part of the Warwick Incubator, the Pre-Accelerator by NatWest. I also joined the NSR Cell IIM Bangalore's Women Startup Program and incubated Avika Limited, my company, from there, which was a very golden moment for me. And during COVID, there were so many online workshops that I was attending, and one of which was organized by Mark Cuban. And I vividly remember that I shared my understanding of everything that he spoke about that day on my Instagram story. And guess what? He reshared that on his Instagram story, which was an amazing moment for someone like me who had no understanding of marketing, business, or anything related to it, but then always so curious and so keen on learning. The years 2016 and 17 have such a huge impact on my life because during that time, I moved countries and switched careers and never looked back. The year 2017 is also special for another reason, which changed my life on a personal level, but also kind of helped me on a professional level. I learned to cook. As somebody who never, ever, ever wanted to learn cooking or never enjoyed the act of cooking or never wanted to learn how to cook, and always told my mom and my parents that I would only marry into a family where there's like house help who can cook meals, or my partner should know how to cook because I'm never going to learn it because I never found it any interesting. This person back in 2016 and 17 finally started and learned cooking. A little background on how that happened was I was eating out a lot. As a university student who's moved countries, we tend to go out a lot and eat a lot of takeout food because especially from the house that I came from, my mom used to make all the meals. So I was used to being fed. And she would prepare everything for us, and there was barely anything that I needed to do in terms of kitchen work. But once I moved to the UK, I realized that I love home food and I missed my dal rice. I missed my dal chawal like anything. And it was only in 2 months, 2 to 3 months, that I started missing home food. And I remember my first dish that I made was a pasta, but then very soon I realized that this is not going to do it. I need rice. I'm a lover of rice. So I needed my rice and I needed my dal, and that's where I did my very first kitchen experience, kitchen experiment, I should rather say. And I have never stopped since then. Today, if you ask me and my friends, I make amazing food. I love what I make. I have finally gauged the understanding of spices and how much to put and what to do and what to add and what are the basics and how to chop. Now, this is something more amazing is that when I first started off, I saw a YouTube video on how to cut onions. Like, when I think back to that time, I think to myself, what was I thinking? But I guess from where I was coming and with the kind of understanding I had that I never wanted to cook, it was kind of obvious. But today, that particular skill has changed everything for me because I love to eat healthy and I love to be healthy. And making fresh meals is an important part of my day or important part of my week in case I'm like meal prepping or something. But I've kind of also enjoyed it. It's not something just for health reasons or just for the reasons of I was missing home food. Now I have started to enjoy making food or cooking food, and it is therapeutic. You know, a lot of people say that cooking to them is therapeutic. Today I can say that because every time I'm like, oh, what to do, I don't know what I should be doing, I go and cook myself a nice meal. I put in a lot of effort, I do a lot of research before I make anything. That's just me. I will research anything that I'm about to do. Even if I'm about to buy a new eyeliner or anything, I will go through like different websites and see which one is the best, what should I get. And similarly with food, I think I go through a few recipes and see which one I want to use, and if I want to take bits and bobs from different recipes and creators, and then I create my own. I'll share some of the videos whilst I'm talking here, and you can see all the food that I make and how much I enjoy doing it. And another important incident of my life that changed a lot of things about me as a person and my personality was the solo trip that I took in 2017. My father traveled solo to Europe when he must have been like 24 or 25 years old. And I remember when I moved to the UK, he did mention to me that whenever you have the time and when you're done with your studies and you have some spare time on you, definitely take a trip to Europe. And it was always on the cards, it was always something on my list that I had to do. And I have been traveling solo for since forever. I mean, I go to most places by myself, so it wasn't something very scary, but it was definitely something new, which I hadn't done much, like outside of India, basically. So that was another incident that liberated me as a person. Once again, I recall researching for that trip. I'm a researcher, so I spent a lot of time researching each country that I was going to visit and what would the travel look like, where should I be heading from each country, and what is the mode of travel that I should be using, how should I get from London to Europe, what will the mode of travel be, should I take a flight, should I take a ferry, should I take I don't think we had trains then, but yeah, I couldn't have driven as well. So yeah, the only two options were the flight and the train and the ferry. So I thought to myself, what should I do? And planned everything, read about these countries, read about the safety for women in these countries, what should I wear, what should I not wear, whether or not should I carry any valuables, will it be safe for me. I remember leaving this ring back in my student accommodation when I traveled, and I almost wanted to leave my phone as well because I thought I can't afford to lose that just in case I'm mugged. But of course, I couldn't have left my phone behind. So doing all of that bit and then finally leaving for that trip, I looked at the mirror and I was like, you are about to do this. Are you ready? And it was an evening bus, overnight bus to Dover, and then from London, Victoria. I was scared. That was the moment I was like, whoa, I'm leaving by myself, alone with my stuff, with like my backpack and everything. But it was such a liberating moment and it was such a liberating trip for me because just from planning everything, where to stay, how to go about everything, managing money, hiding my money in different places so that I don't lose anything. And even if something happens, anything negative happens, at least I'll have some money somewhere. And then the whole trip, which was beautiful. It's one of my experiences that I will never forget. And I have a big smile on my face, even thinking about it. I remember starting off from Dover, going to Amsterdam for an evening, and then on the bus, I met this girl and we hung out together in that morning. We had breakfast together, and then I had to leave for Stuttgart to visit another friend who lives in Stuttgart, who came to Delhi for an exchange program. And this time I was visiting her. She came for an exchange program with my sister in her school, but this time I was going to go see her. So I stayed with her in this farmhouse, which was beautiful, and the experience was gorgeous. I had not done anything like that before. It was such a pretty little town that it was just like beautiful. And then I did an impromptu trip to Zurich because it was only like an hour or 2 hours away from Stuttgart. And then from Zurich, I headed to Prague, and then from Prague to Budapest, and then I took a flight back to London. And this one experience made me feel like I could do anything. It built so much confidence, so much self love, and the love for travel. I mean, I did not ever stop after that. I always enjoyed traveling, but doing that opened up so many different places for me where I wanted to go. I started making a list of places that I now want to visit and go and see and eat food and then travel, and how I could travel on a budget. I researched everything around that trip and before it, that now I was prepared to go on my next one. So these are the three things that have completely changed my life and the last decade of my life. They've had a huge impact on me as a person and also me as a professional. If you enjoyed this video, then definitely give it a like. And if you like such content, then do subscribe to the channel because I post such videos every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. I'll see you in the next video, but until then,